Hi, it's Timo. Welcome to Norwich City Central.
Hello everybody, Lewis, Norwich City Central. Hope you're doing well there. That man Pukki saved Norwich and rescued Norwich a point in this game. His 5th goal of the season, and wow, what a goal it was. I think Timo Pukki said in his interview it was one of his best goals he's ever scored, and it was just an absolute thunderbolt. And those kind of finishes you just love, powerful finish, top corner. What a finish it was from Pukki. But a 1-1 draw against Newcastle, and the overriding feeling I have is disappointment coming away from that game. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, and despite a world-class finish from Timo Pukki, it doesn't escape the fact that was an opportunity missed, 2 points dropped. So yeah, really disappointed with that one. I think coming into this game against Newcastle, you would have been content with a point. A point at St James's Park, but when you consider the context of the game, I mean, Kieran Clark gets a red card in the first 10 minutes. When do you ever play a team pretty much for the whole game against 10 men? It's a 19th versus 20th clash. You couldn't have had a better start to that game, and Norwich City missed a massive opportunity. But when you consider, Newcastle went ahead in that second half, had a brilliant chance to make it 2-0 as well. With 15 minutes to go, you probably would have taken a point, and Timo Pukki certainly rescued Norwich, but it's not the point. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. Norwich are unbeaten though in November. I've heard you can't beat the Canaries in November. 8 points from 4 games, and after things were looking incredibly bleak against Leeds United, that's the kind of form you want now, and that's the kind of results you need, averaging 2 points a game. We've got some tricky fixtures coming up: Tottenham away, Man United at home, I think West Ham away coming up as well. So we've got some difficult ones coming up, but Norwich have put themselves in a much more better chance for survival over the course of those games. We look far more competitive, and that's what's pleasing to see. But no, you can't help but feel, certainly the Wolves game and this game, that Norwich should have more points on the board, which is really frustrating. But it shows how far we've come from that hideous game against Leeds and the 7-0 loss against Chelsea, which was only 5 or 6 weeks ago now. But looking at the Newcastle game and the team news, you could argue Norwich's 2 best players were injured. Norman, who suffered a pelvic injury, not nice to see, against Wolves. Let's hope it's not too long, because they can sometimes last around 8 to 12 weeks. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. And Rashida as well, who's been outstanding this month. His pace and his directness has been really interesting to see, and he's such a good ball carrier. He was also injured with a groin injury in training. Let's hope those injuries are both not serious. But allowed Christos Lawless his first start for Norwich, I think, in the Premier League, and Lucas Rupp also came into the side. But the first half performance, the whole script was completely thrown up in the air, and as Norwich City fans, you're absolutely loving the first 10 minutes. Kieran Clark makes a mistake, Pukki goes through one-on-one on goal, Kieran Clark tugs him back, the clearest red card you're ever going to see. And Norwich are down to, Newcastle are down to 10 men, to the absolute dismay and horror of Alan Shearer, who I hope I'm not going to have to listen to commentary ever again in my life. It was absolutely hideous on Amazon Prime. But Norwich, of course, having the extra man, they didn't really make advantage of that. They had lots of the ball, but really lacked penetration and pace. And, it would have been really nice to see Norwich really go at Newcastle in the first half, particularly after coming off the back of 2 really good home performances. But we were lethargic, slow on the ball, and the main issue is no one was running in behind trying to stretch the play. Our best chances in that first half, a Billy Gilmore free kick, Christos Lawless having an effort on target inside the box, but the big one, Zolis does brilliantly well, skips past his man, so it crosses it into Sargent, and on first glance, Sargent kind of miskicks it against the defender, and it goes out for a corner, I think. But it's a golden miss, a golden chance. It's right across the 6-yard box, and just Sargent, all he's got to do is tap it in, but just gets his body mixed up and kind of hits it to the side instead of right in front of him into the net. So huge opportunity missed by Sargent. In the second half, we decided to make a change. Dean Smith went to the 4-2-1-2-1, the diamond, and the reason for that was to allow some width going forward, which I think was personally a mistake. I mean, I think the 4-3-3 would have worked with having overlapping fullbacks and really trying to stretch the play and making the pitch big, because quite a lot of times Brandon Williams, for example, would come inside and it would just be too congested. But both of those formations can work if the players play the right way and play to those instructions, and they didn't do that. Norwich continued to be slow on the ball, lethargic, and the last thing you want, you don't want the home team with 10 men who've been, it's quite funny actually, because when you have 10 men for like 20 or 30 minutes, you're kind of in a position where you adapt to the game. But when you're literally got 10 men for the whole game, the players are shattered, and the last thing you want to do is give them optimism. Norwich give away a really silly corner. Corner comes in. Billy Gilmore, silly, has his hand in the air, and it's a penalty. And from the penalty, Tim Krul goes the right way, gets a strong hand onto it. We know how good he is at penalties, but it kind of rolls off his hand, hits the crossbar and goes in, and it's just Norwich's luck. But what annoyed me about the penalty was the inconsistency. And that really frustrates me, because in the first half, Max Aarons puts the ball into the box, Crystal Solids heads it towards goal, the defender has his hand out about as far as he can go, and it's not given, and it's the exact same scenario. So you've got to be consistent with it, and that's what really annoys me. But I mean, you can have all the Saudi money in the world, when it comes to the players on the pitch, it doesn't really matter. In Norwich City, all that stuff doesn't really matter. I think going forward from the 60th to the 70th minute, Norwich were shell shocked and continued to create very little chances. I know Josh Sargent came off, he had a really poor game for Adam Eder, who I thought was a lot better. And Newcastle had a golden opportunity to make it 2-0. Yet again, out of nothing, Callum Wilson has the ball kind of in the corner flag, puts the ball across the box, and it surprises Gibson, it surprises Krul, and it falls to Isaac Hayden. And rather than shooting at the goal, he kind of miskicks it and it goes across the goal. But it was a real golden opportunity from Isaac Hayden from a close angle. But for those 75 minutes, as I said, Norwich City weren't stretching the play, were slow on the ball, and it was really disappointing. But one moment of brilliance, Billy Gilmore puts in a cross. We didn't put any crosses in all game. Dubravka clears it. It falls to Giannoulis inside the box, and brilliant composure from Giannoulis. Brandon Williams, who's been really good in the last few games, wasn't great in this game, kept cutting inside and didn't allow us to have width for the pitch. But Giannoulis comes in, brilliantly puts the ball across the box, and Teemu Pukki, 15 yards out on the volley, smashes it top corner. An absolute thunderbolt from Teemu Pukki to get us back in the game. And we changed from then. We looked a little bit more positive on the ball, moved it quicker. I think for the majority of the game, Lucas Ripp's done really well, but he was so slow on the ball. Kenny McLean was too erratic. No one really running behind Sargent. Brilliant off the ball, but on the ball he looked lost. And yeah, it was really poor from Norwich perspective, but we managed to create a golden opportunity. Newcastle absolutely knackered. Lees Malou does brilliantly well to close down Manquillo, and then he's running through on goal. Manquillo hasn't got the pace. Lees Malou from a tight angle, one-on-one against Dubravka, but it's a lazy shot. Dubravka manages to, at full stretch, with his legs saves it, and that was the game really. It was from there. Norwich missed a golden opportunity, and it ended Newcastle 1, Norwich 1. And yeah, it's a really difficult one to take that. I think before the game you'd have taken a point, but when you consider the context of the game, how Norwich didn't come away with 3 points is desperately disappointing. But if you look at the overall picture, 8 points from 4 games has certainly put Norwich in a much better position. I'm surprised by some of the criticism of Crystal Solis, because in that first half his pace created a golden chance for Sargent, and he created 2 good shooting opportunities, and I was surprised that he was taken off for Lees Malou. I'd like to have seen him stayed on and really run at defences. So I was really surprised by that criticism. Sargent, on the ball was poor. And the whole midfield just as a whole were just quite slightly slow and lethargic on the ball, and we didn't stretch them well enough. I thought Newcastle defended well, but we didn't do enough. It was too predictable with our play. But when you've got someone like Pukki on the pitch, wow, what a finish that is. And I think Norwich need another striker as well to contribute towards the goals, because we only scored 8 goals this season in the Premier League, which is the worst in the division. I think Pukki does need some backup, but Pukki rescues Norwich with an absolute thunderbolt, and gets us a point, which is important. It stops Newcastle getting those 3 points, but it really is a missed opportunity from Norwich. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.